change, like Manhattan Together. And we are about getting things done. For 40 years, we've been winning victories that really matter for our people, like building Nehemiah houses in East Brooklyn and a beautiful campus of public schools in the Bronx. And recently, we've worked really hard on widespread relief for many NYCHA residents who'd been suffering with mold and leaks in their apartments. But today, which is Earth Day, we're launching a different kind of initiative for us. It's a campaign with some very powerful partners from our state, some of whom you'll get to hear from today, to fight climate change in New York, one building at a time, one old boiler at a time. There's a link to the agenda in the chat. And we plan to spend about 45 minutes talking about this initiative and really celebrating the commitments that people have made to this work. So first, Brother Jack Ratschmidt is going to lead us into prayer and describe how we got here.
May I ask you to take a moment to honor the God of your own faith tradition. Oh God, you who are beyond all names, be with us today. Guide us. Help us as we work to preserve the great gift of creation on this 51st Earth Day, and to share her goods with all people. And the people say amen.
Amen.
So we have some exciting news today. My job is to tell you how we got here. In January 2020, about 30 of us, most of whom are here today on this call, gathered in a very cold room in St. Bartholomew's Church in White Plains. And we were present with our coats on, Metro IAF, leaders from across the region. Many were clergy and lay leaders interested in getting their own congregations off fossil fuels. We were joined by the CEO and key leadership of a company formed for that exact purpose, Block Power. Also present with his coat on was John Rhodes, who was then chair of the State Public Service Commission. Mr. Rhodes, if you're here, we saw that you registered. Welcome. We want to thank you, sir, for getting this conversation started. And with Mr. Rhodes were several officials of the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, or NYSERDA, and the Long Island Power Authority. Now, the reason the room was cold was that there was no heat, and the building was in the middle of a retrofit project being carried out by Block Power and its contractors to replace an old, dirty oil boiler and steam system with an efficient electric heat pumps heating and cooling system. Father Gowan DeLeo, the rector of St. Bart's Episcopal Church in White Plains, gave all of us a tour of the project, including the beautiful sanctuary where air handlers were being installed in place of the old radiators. And then we settled back into the freezing cold metal chairs in the fellowship hall so that Metro IAF could ask a few questions of Mr. Rhodes. We said, would the state work with us to create a different kind of energy pipeline? Not one that transports fossil fuels, but a pipeline of clean energy projects like St. Bart's? Would the state provide incentives to enable dozens of community institutions to transition off oil and gas and become demonstration projects in their communities? If so, we said that we'd like to help build that pipeline, that we could draw upon relationships of trust with scores of churches, mosques, synagogues, and other building owners built through over 2 generations of work in New York. John Rhodes gave us a thoughtful answer. It amounted to, we like the idea. We want to work with you. Let's keep talking. And so Metro IAF and NYSERDA and Block Power began to discuss how this vision could be realized. And then 2 months later, COVID hit, including, and it shut down everything, including for a short time, the St. Bart's project. And this is the point where I'll ask Father DeLu to pick up this story.
Hello, everyone. As you can see, I'm here at St. Bart's outside. You can check out my condenser in the back. It's a beautiful view. Anyway, I'm proud to be here to share what we've accomplished, and it's great to be here with Block Power, Green Star, and Daikin in the state of New York and my colleagues in ministry. You know, we're a small multicultural and multilingual parish in White Plains, located in between public housing stock and housing owned by multimillionaires. Our congregation ranges from day laborers to financiers. We have a multilingual preschool. We have a soup kitchen and a food pantry and offer yoga and dance classes. We're like many other churches doing what their local communities require. After our boiler broke, we realized we had an opportunity to rethink our relationship with energy. Now, we've been committed to environmental justice for decades. We were the first church in Westchester to offer farm co-op shares, but we weren't sure how to make energy transition work. For a small church, one of our challenges was, who do we trust? Metro IAF and Block Power were able to guide us through a process. And while we didn't have the initial funding to do an engineering study, Block Power was willing to take the risk of if we said no after we had done the study. But we had previously large air conditioners from the time air conditioners had just been invented. We had 3 zones for a 1,000-gallon oil burner. And during the summer, our church could get pretty hot during the day, so we rarely had weddings. But it was financially possible, and we decided to move forward. The process was collaborative. The contractors came in daily at times that wouldn't interfere with their normal schedule. We rearranged our worship during the winter into the smaller auditorium with space heaters, and with the help of White Plains, we were able to start the work. We started, of course, when the heating season began. So we did the best we could, but with working with the Block Power and Green Star engineers, we came up with a system that could be adjusted room by room. When we turned it on, not only would we have heat, we also discovered that the air quality was different. Gone was the very familiar smell of mold and incense. We did this first once we understood that it was economically viable. We would be able to increase our income streams, eliminate our oil budget, and reduce our electric expenses over time. And over the long term, connecting with solar directly and choosing and closing our envelope will mean that once our payments are completed, we may annually save up to $80,000 a year, which is a life or death amount for many parishes. Churches are economic engines in their communities. They spend every dollar they get, but it was not the only reason. We believe that the time was right and the fight is right. We understand that sometimes the hardest work in making major transitions, which we need to make now, is to take that first step to move from 0 to 1. We've been very happy even during the pandemic with our cooling and heating, and are now looking forward to a safe, secure celebrations in our comfortable and energy efficient sanctuary. Back to you, Jack.
Thank you, Father Gowan, for your leadership, not only for undertaking your project, but for being so generous with your time in sharing what St. Bart's has learned. Clergy and other leaders from dozens of institutions in Metro IAF and beyond have been inspired by you and your community to see if they can do something simple. Thank you, brother. And that's what we mean by demonstration project, and creating many more like this that we've been talking with NYSERDA about since that day last winter when we all froze. And today our hearts are warm. And with great pride and excitement, I want to introduce Janet Joseph, the Senior Vice President for Strategy and Market Development at NYSERDA, to announce the agreement we've reached. Ms. Joseph.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. It is an absolute pleasure to join you here today. I want to thank Metro IAF and your members for organizing this event and for inviting me to speak on behalf of the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA. And NYSERDA is the state's clean energy agency. So under the framework of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, NYSERDA is investing in clean heating and cooling technology and decarbonizing strategies to advance toward a carbon neutral building stock by mid-century. This is one critical element of our overall strategy to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 85% by 2050 while creating stronger communities. We are doing this environmental sustainability work at New York State with a keen focus on equity and inclusion, ensuring that benefits of clean energy investments are directed to disadvantaged communities. And that is one of the reasons why we are so excited about this initiative. We are pleased to announce a $4 million grant to Metro IAF, which will allow the foundation to organize community anchor institutions during a 2-year campaign to decarbonize buildings. This initiative will assist in the development of energy and sustainability plans for 80 or more buildings in the membership. It will equip at least 65 faith communities with roadmaps for phasing out their buildings' use of fossil fuel, for building a more environmentally sustainable future. And I can think of no more exciting thing to announce than Earth Day, than this type of a community-led initiative. This work will be demonstrating that building decarbonization efforts can move faster, they can cost less, they can mean more and have a greater impact if they are driven by trusted community leaders acting in concert with professionals and public sector institutions. This community-led initiative will demonstrate how these anchor institutions can lead our response to climate change. And we are just absolutely thrilled to be part of this work. Now, we are working hard at the state level to green up the power grid. And the best way for your congregations to reduce your carbon footprint and to support climate progress is to remove fossil fuels from your buildings and switch to clean heating and cooling technologies, like the kinds of solutions that you will be advancing in this initiative. So the work that you are doing here could really help develop a template for thousands of community institutions across the state to follow. And that is also very, very exciting. So we can show that retrofitting buildings with heat pumps, with solar, with energy efficiency can create new, good paying jobs, improve indoor air quality, and increase the sustainability of our communities. And those are really important things worth fighting for. Importantly, this Metro IAF project will provide opportunities for workers who live in disadvantaged communities and who were recently unemployed or underemployed, setting contractor workforce standards, including living wage employment, training, and on-the-job experience. So this is really a groundbreaking piece of work that we are absolutely thrilled to see move forward. And I remember when Joe reached out to us last year after COVID broke and said, you know, are you still interested in moving forward? And our view then, and it is our view today, that this work is ever more important. We have learned an awful lot through COVID. We've seen how it's affected certain communities. We understand the value and the importance of indoor environmental health and quality. And we know we have a pressing need for economic opportunity and jobs. So it was an important conversation to have in the cold space of the church a year and a half ago, and it's even more important today. So thank you to everyone who made today possible. We really look forward to this partnership, and we look forward to seeing great things come of this work.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joseph. And I'm sure that everybody in their Zoom room is yelling and screaming. And if we were in person, we'd be clapping you out right now. We're really grateful for your leadership, for your forward-looking attitude about this. And we really look forward to working with your very talented team on this work. So now we're going to hear from two other important partners, and that is Justin Bell of the Long Island Power Authority and Caitlin Sukata from Con Edison.
Good morning. I'm Justin Bell. Thanks to the foundation for organizing this event and for inviting me to say a few words today on behalf of the Long Island Power Authority. And to NYSERDA, of course, for welcoming Long Island's participation in this exciting initiative. LIPA is pleased to announce a contribution of $500,000 of funding for this program, which will help expand the initiative to an additional 15 Long Island anchor institutions. This funding is in addition to our existing heat pump incentives, which already offer thousands of dollars per project. Janet talked a little bit about the benefits of replacing your building's fossil fuel powered heating systems with clean electric heating. This potential is enormous on Long Island, both because we have a lot of buildings with older oil powered heat and because Long Island is blessed with abundant clean energy resources. By the end of this year, we expect that Long Island will surpass our 2025 solar energy goal up to 4 years early. And between 23 and 2026, Long Island will add 2,300 megawatts of offshore wind. And we're not stopping there. Like the rest of New York, our electric grid will be powered with 100% clean energy by 2040, if not sooner. This means that electric heating systems you install today in your faith communities can immediately lower your carbon footprint. And this will ultimately shrink to zero while saving your congregation money and creating new job opportunities in your communities. So thank you so much to everyone who made this initiative and this event possible. And we're excited to participate with you today.
Hi, I think I'm next. Caitlin Sukata representing Con Edison. A big happy Earth Day to everybody. Wish we could be in person. Con Edison is committed, obviously, to transitioning to a green energy future. We have a variety of energy efficiency programs, including incentives for heat pumps for all of our customers, with a special specific happy focus today on houses of worship, nonprofits, and hoping to hear from many more of you coming into our programs in the coming months and years. So really excited to be here today and looking forward to some of this great work.
Thank you, Ms. Sakata and Mr. Bell. These commitments of significant incentives for clean energy demonstration projects, both from NYSERDA, from LIPA, and from Con Ed, they make it far more financially viable for our houses of worship and other community institutions to tackle these projects. So it's really important for your leadership, and we appreciate that it would be much harder to get them done without you. But you guys aren't the only ones making commitments today. So Metro IAF also makes some commitments as part of this deal. And Asmram's going to put some slides up here for me. I want to highlight the 5 commitments that Metro IAF is making. We will build a group of institutions that are committed to transitioning their buildings off fossil fuels and being leaders in this area, like St. Bart's has been. We'll start by engaging more than 300 institutions in the metro area and beyond, showing them that it's possible, particularly with these partnerships in place, to stop using oil or gas to heat their buildings. We will identify at least 100 institutions that are ready to start now to plan their transition off of fossil fuels. We'll connect those institutions to our partner, Block Power, who will work with them to develop long-range energy plans for their buildings. From there, in institutions where there are clean energy projects that make sense to start with right now, Block Power will develop and execute those projects. Our goal is 35 clean energy demonstration projects completed by Earth Day 2023. We'll provide hundreds of institutions with assessments of their solar potential. And where there is interest and potential for solar, we'll connect those institutions to the Community Purchasing Alliance to join a group of solar development. We will use these projects, the heating and cooling upgrades, as well as the solar developments, to expand and diversify the clean energy workforce in New York State. And we will ensure that at least half of the institutions that we engage are in disadvantaged communities within the state. Finally, number 5, Metro IAF and our group of committed institutions will highlight these projects far and wide. We'll use them like we use St. Bart's to encourage similar projects in larger buildings. As NYSERDA knows, we're not going to wait until we've done 35. We're pushing now in New York City public housing. We'll push in schools, in any public building that's still burning oil. If we can do it, you can do it. Now, we can't even imagine this work if it weren't for our two very important partners in the work, Donnell Baird of Block Power, and then we're going to hear from Joe Nawrotsky of the Community Purchasing Alliance.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Earth Day. Happy Earth Day. So I'm Donnell at Block Power. For those of us who are on this call who all joined past Father Gideon, Father Gawain. Father Gideon came in from Long Island, but we all met at Father Gawain's church a little over a year ago. And it was cold. I know that former PSC chairman John Rhodes is on the call as well. He was there in his trench coat. And we had a vision to try and put this together. This is a really special Earth Day indeed for us. I think we're all moved by the courage that Pastor Gawain showed, deciding to move forward with his vestry and his office location and his sanctuary and the auditorium where we all met that cold winter day, that he went on ahead and put in the heat pumps. He had a cold Christmas, he had a cold New Year's, but was able to get the heat pumps in. And I just want to highlight his courage. I remember one of the phone calls we had with Michael Reed right after COVID hit. Michael Reed said he'd spent the whole day with other NYSERDA colleagues staffing the unemployment phone banking center because the NYSERDA staff had been deployed to help field phone calls from millions of New Yorkers who'd lost their jobs due to the economic collapse. And after a long day of answering phone calls to talk to people about their unemployment checks and whether they qualified or didn't qualify, Michael Reed got on the phone with Joe Morris and I to try to figure out how to keep this moving forward. And the commitment from NYSERDA and leaders like Father Gawain on this journey is tremendous. I'm personally very moved. We at Block Power, this project will unlock 20 million or more dollars of economic value in the communities that we're serving. Most of that money will be going to labor to pay for construction workers and teams and engineering firms. And the other part of it is going to be used to purchase heat pumps. And of course, NYSERDA's contribution will be going to help provide long-range plans as well as lower cost heat pumps for everyone. And so we are committed to doing everything we need to do to bring that $10 to $15 million of additional capital to the table. That's one. The last thing I'll say with my last 30 seconds is, you know, I had the good fortune and great misfortune of testifying to Congress this week. And there are a bunch of Democrats and a bunch of Republicans. They had they had political theater around the nation's infrastructure bill. The Republicans pretended that they were incredibly concerned with, you know, coal workers and oil workers, but of course, there's a lot of money that they're getting from fossil fuel companies. And the Democrats had big ideas and big plans to spend billions and billions of taxpayer dollars, but didn't have enough specifics about what it's actually going to take on the ground to implement greenhouse gas reduction and fossil fuel removal and decarbonization at scale, and what kind of jobs we're going to need, and what kind of training we're going to need, and what kind of incentives are actually going to be helpful. So we have an opportunity in front of all of us today to show the nation what decarbonization infrastructure look like. New York State has led and will continue to lead this country as we move forward and decarbonize our economy. And I'm super excited to be here with all of you on this very important Earth Day. Thank you.
I think I'm going to just jump right in. Donnell, thank you so much. And what an incredible Earth Day celebration. I don't think I've ever heard so many happy Earth Days. So let me also join in and wish everyone a happy Earth Day here. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you all for joining and welcoming me. My name is Joe Naroditsky. I'm the Director of Solar Programs for the Community Purchasing Alliance. We are a wholly owned purchasing cooperative owned entirely by nonprofit organizations, helping nonprofits shift their buildings toward clean renewable energy. As part of this initiative, we will facilitate a group procurement process that will get solar projects installed for at least 25 institutions with solar installed on their rooftops, parking lots, and open land. Through this effort, institutions will get solar on their properties with no upfront cost, and organizations will receive meaningful savings on their electrical bill while shifting significant portions of their electricity usage over to clean, renewable solar energy. This effort will leverage over $4 million in investment from the private sector to generate thousands of dollars in savings and dozens of green jobs over the next 20 years. And CPA, which is a sister organization of Metro IAF, will work with this group and others to help hundreds of congregations across New York assess their potential for solar power on their properties, and then invite those who are good candidates to become part of our group process that uses the combined bargaining power and the economies of scale of a large group to get the best terms possible for your solar projects. And by working together in this way, we're able to cut soft costs to maximize your savings while helping you navigate a complex process. So I'm thrilled to be here. And I think from here, I can hand it over to some of our other community leaders.
Thanks so much, Joe. And thanks, Donnell. Happy Earth Day indeed. So we've been hearing about the commitments from these organizations that are sort of big, but now it's time to talk about what it really looks like. As Joe Morris says, where the rubber hits the road. And so we have some congregations and some community leaders who have already begun starting this work. These are leaders of institutions who need to make the decisions to move forward, these hard decisions about their own community houses and their own people. Even where the projects are really financially and environmentally straightforward, every one of these is still a really big undertaking for a community. So we've gotten a head start on finding the communities that are up for the challenge. We've already engaged 60 houses of worship, and a good number of them are eager to move forward. In fact, some already are moving along. So we're going to highlight 4 of them now. And if you're not one of the ones we're highlighting, but you're on the call today, feel free to do a shout out in the chat, because we really appreciate everybody's willingness to move forward here. It's really great. So we're going to start with Reverend Sam Owen of the Haitian Congregation of the Good Shepherd in the Bronx.
Good morning, friends. I'm from the Haitian Congregation of the Good Samaritan in the Bronx, and the common mistake. Very excited to be here, very excited to be with this program. I also want to acknowledge Giselle Isidore, who is from our leadership team at the church, and so happy to see so many Episcopalian brothers and sisters here today. So we are starting this because we are moving into a new building in the Bronx, and we see so many advantages for our church for this, from saving money to a smaller carbon footprint to getting air conditioning, which is not in the church, and heat pumps do provide that, to creation care. When Joe Morris asked me to speak today, he asked me to talk a little bit about creation care, and it really comes down to starting in the book of Genesis, when God gave Adam dominion over the plants and animals. And my interpretation is that didn't mean just using as you will, but to be a good steward of the earth. And so that's what we're hoping from this project, is that we would be a good steward for our congregation, but also leading by example, much the same way that Gowan has done. I'm personally very inspired by what Gowan and St. Bart's has done without the subsidies that we have available to us. And so the financial incentives make it so much more attractive right now for churches like ours. So I'll just close by saying the Bronx and other underserved communities have typically lagged in this kind of initiative. And the fact that that this is really on the leading edge. And NYSERDA spoke to that today about how they want to see underserved communities really to be on the forefront of this, which is extremely positive for us. To have green jobs for people of color, to address getting cleaner air in the Bronx for people with asthma and people that are suffering, people that have with the quality of air, both outdoors and indoors. And so we are very excited to be part of this, to replace our old boilers with heat pumps and also with solar, because my understanding is that heat pumps and solar, they go together kind of like peanut butter and jelly, that you need both. And I feel so strongly about this. My wife and I have already installed heat pumps and solar on our personal homes. So we're committed personally, and we want to be a leader with the church. Thank you.
Father Mason, you're out there?
Okay, good morning. Yes, this is Father Ed Mason from St. Gabriel's Church in East New York and Brooklyn, part of ABC Metro IAF. I'm here this morning with representatives from Block Power who are doing a survey, energy survey of our building. We're here in the boiler room of a very old building that has an original boiler. If we can get a handle on this boiler here. There's a 1907 original coal burning boiler. It's been converted to oil. So we're officially burning fossil fuels. This thing pumps out heat. We're burning fossil fuels at an incredible rate. And I live and work in an ice cold building all the time because of very poor energy efficiency. So we're looking to, first of all, like was just stated, care for Mother Earth and our environment, respond to God's command to treat the earth as he does, as the Creator does, with his same care, be more efficient in our heating capacity, save a lot of money for the parish as well, but also, again, give example to other people to follow the same as well. I'm here with Joe Chen from Block Power and his team as well. We're going through our buildings inch by inch. It's a very arduous effort this morning and this afternoon, but this is our attempt to get a handle on what the situation here is energy-wise and what things we can do together going forward to make things more efficient.
Yeah, I guess, Father Mason, thank you. It's been really interesting looking at this ancient boiler. I mean, you can literally see some of the light from the flame coming through, just to give you a sense for how poorly insulated and how inefficient it is. It's not running right now, but you can see this crack down here. You can literally see the flame coming through. And just the fact that even with all of this, the boiler is not providing the heat that people want. So we can design a better system that's more efficient and it'll deliver the comfort that Father Mason's looking for. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started on this program.
And we look forward to being part of this effort. Hopefully other churches, institutions around the area will see us do this and want to join the effort as well going forward. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing, Father Mason. Definitely a one for the ages. Rebecca, are you there?
I am. Thank you, Joanne. Welcome, everyone. My name is Rebecca Smith Aldridge. I am a different type of cultural institution representing here today as an anchor institution, and really proud to be here today representing the library community. I work for the Mid-Hudson Library System. We serve 66 public libraries in Columbia, Dutchess, Putnam, Ulster, and Greene counties in the Mid-Hudson Valley. But that's my day job. My volunteer work is with the New York Library Association and the American Library Association, because sustainability is where it's at. Libraries really understand their role in the community as their engagement role and their empowerment role, and they understand the need to lead by example when it comes to the issue of combating climate change. And so as one of the most trusted community partners out there, we're really thrilled to be here because we understand that one of our professional ethics drives us is the idea of sustainability. The American Library Association actually changed the core values of our profession in 2019 to include sustainability and recognition of the important and powerful role libraries can play, because we're in every little village throughout the country. And people trust us. They come to learn, they come to educate their children, they come to figure out the wide world around them. And so libraries need to apply all of that wisdom that's on the shelves and in the databases that they offer and lead by example with the choices they make with their facilities how they treat their own workers, how they deploy money in local economies. And so this is a really, I had to say this, a match made in heaven. So we're thrilled to be here today because we have over $1.5 billion in construction needs for library facilities in New York State. Many of them are basic energy efficiency projects. So that's public money literally being blown out of energy inefficient buildings. So we want to be smart with the public dollars and be good stewards of the public trust. So looking at energy efficiency opportunities is a big part of the work that I'm doing, both by leveraging other state aid monies and public dollars at the local level to help libraries make better decisions. But this work really needs acceleration in the face of what we are looking at when it comes to climate change. So this project could not come at a better time for our libraries that have shovel-ready projects. They're ready to go. They're just looking for the partners and the resources to make it happen. So I'm, again, thrilled to be here today, but I can't emphasize enough that good people can go further when they work with other good people, but we need that technical assistance to figure things out and make sure we make good decisions on behalf of the people that we serve. So thank you for allowing me to join you here today, and thank you for the work that's gone in to get us to today. I think it's a day filled with good news for many of us who have been cheering on Earth Day, often by ourselves for many decades. So I'm thrilled to be here with like-minded folks doing good work on behalf of those we serve. Thank you very much.
My name is Gideon Pollock, and I'm the rector of St. John's Episcopal Church here in Cold Spring Harbor.
I'm Mary Beth Mills Curran. I'm the curate for Blue-Green Theology here at St. John's Church.
And we're standing here on the shores of St. John's Pond, which is our 12-acre pond, which we have promised to preserve and protect. And we're standing in front of our beautiful church. And we've made a commitment in recent years to go green.
To us, going green means moving away from fossil fuels and towards technologies that are renewable. On our campus, there are multiple buildings, 2 homes, a church, and our parish house. While the boiler in the parish house is relatively new, only 9 years old, it runs on natural gas, a non-renewable resource. Our homes, however, are heated by oil. We were visited by Black Power, and their engineers suggested to us that we could consider our pond our best asset for heating and cooling our campus through a geothermal pond loop system. Imagine the pond heating and cooling the campus. It's like something from the future.
We're looking forward to working with our partners at the Long Island Power Authority
and Black Power
to preserve this beautiful asset for years to come.
Well, as you can see, good things are already happening. Amazing good things are already happening. I don't know if Gideon wanted to hop on and say anything, but I love that project in particular.
We're just happy to be a part of the work and thankful for the support of everyone in the coalition and especially our bishop.
Well, on that note, you know, we at Metro IAF understand that this is about organizing, and we've worked hard to get NYSERDA and LIPA and everybody else on board, and we're looking for more partners, and we've already found one. And we're so happy today to hear from Bishop Lawrence Provenzano of the Episcopal Diocese of Long Island, who also has a great announcement.
Bishop, I think you're muted. There you go.
Oh, sorry, there we go. Now I'm unmuted. I am really excited about the opportunity that you have provided for me today to join you all and to begin by saying to all of you that on behalf of the entire Diocese of Long Island, you need to count us in. We believe that we are called to be stewards of God's creation, and that calling is not compatible with heating our buildings with oil in the year 2021. So here is what we are prepared to commit. We will contribute toward the education, outreach, and encouragement with congregations throughout Brooklyn, Queens, Nassau, and Suffolk. We're already begun that work, and now with all of the other commitments being made today, we will expand upon that commitment. We pledge to identify every one of our 137 congregations and diocesan institutions that are still burning oil and encourage them to participate in this effort. We will ask as many parishes as possible to take advantage of the opportunities to get long-range energy plans for their buildings, both through our association with Metro IAF and this coalition, and the real estate department of our own diocesan entities. And we will work with Metro IAF to assess the solar potential for every institution and property in the Diocese of Long Island. We will ask those parishes that are burning oil not to switch to another fossil fuel like natural gas, but rather to switch to electric heat pumps. Why would we want our parishes heated? Why wouldn't we want our parishes heated by wind and solar power as we move forward in the care of God's creation? And we will invest in these conversions throughout the next several years. In addition to the subsidies that are being announced by NYSERDA and LIPA and the other utilities, we pledge to provide a grant averaging $25,000 for each congregation in our diocese that agrees to be a clean energy demonstration project through this program. It is an exciting time for us to embrace creation care in this vigorous and energetic way, and to help lead not just by our words, but by our actions and by the use of our resources to create a sustainable creation for all of God's people. We are happy to be partners with the Metro IAF and Long Island CAN in building a greater and better future for all of New York. We not only see it as an opportunity, but we embrace it as an obligation to our call to serve all of God's people. And I want to thank you all for creating an opportunity for me as the bishop of this diocese to be encouraged to take these steps. And I could not be prouder of the work that has already begun and the work that we will do together. God bless you all on this Earth Day, and let's keep this momentum going forward.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Bishop Provenzano. And I think you know that people are cheering in their rooms at home. Everybody's clapping and cheering for you. And we're really inspired by your leadership, your willingness to step out and do this. And inspired by that, we're going to other denominational leaders, and we're asking them to do what they can to make it possible for as many congregations as we can muster to be part of this work. We don't have time today to highlight all of the commitments that have been made and the ones that still need to be made to get this pipeline of clean energy projects moving along. But I do want to give a little Earth Day love to a few other important partners who we know are in the room today, and you can drop notes to them in the chat. But we have 3 heat pump manufacturers here. They're representatives from Daikin, from GREE, and from Mitsubishi. These are the companies that make the condensers and the air handlers and the other products that heat and cool our buildings efficiently. So thank you for being here, and thank you for being market leaders in this area. We look forward to talking with you guys about the pricing you'll be able to give us for these demonstration projects. And we're also happy to be joined today by at least one contractor who specializes in heat pump installation. VRF Solutions, that's the company that helped St. Bart's. So they have one happy customer in the room too. And they've done several other clean energy retrofits of religious properties. So we look forward to continuing to work with you and other leading contractors in this area. Now we're going to hear from our Lieutenant Governor, Kathleen Hochul. As you know, New York State is a national leader in fighting climate change and transitioning off fossil fuels. And the Lieutenant Governor is a longtime leader on these issues in New York. So we're so pleased to have you with us. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor.
Well, thank you, Joanne. And what an inspiring, it's almost as inspiring as being in church on a Sunday morning to hear all the the members of the clergy talk about their commitment. And again, living the words of the Bible. And this is not just something that we made up in the 21st century, that we have a responsibility to be caretakers and stewards of the earth. It comes down from Genesis. So it's been there throughout our history. And to think about the assault that has occurred on our planet, particularly when I was a child. I grew up on the shores of Lake Erie and watched the pollution be spewing into the air and into the lake. And we were still swimming in it. We were still breathing that air most of my childhood. So I am delighted to be here to know that we're far more enlightened today than we were even a generation ago. And to celebrate Earth Day with these phenomenal commitments from the various representatives from the different faiths that I just heard from, and the Bishop of Long Island. I mean, what a great commitment that is, to make sure that all the parishes have an opportunity to have the resources to convert from what they have now. The oil, it's hard to believe we actually used oil all these years and it's still contaminating our environment. But I love the fact that you have all said we have a purpose here, a moral obligation truly to fight for our planet. And on this Earth Day, it's actually been 50 some years, 51 years. We should have celebrated last year, the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, except we were occupied with something known as the pandemic, which we're still fighting through. But as someone who participated in the very first Earth Day, I don't think there's anybody on this Zoom old enough to have been there 50 years ago, but I was there marching with one of my classes. I won't tell you which one it was, but it was young. But I was out there fighting the good fight even then. And I feel very committed that the state is going to continue looking for partners like Metro IAF and so many others, Block Power, Long Island Power Authority, and Con Ed. And Joanne, what you do is just extraordinary. So I'm and NYSERDA has been leading this charge. In fact, I'm leaving here in a couple minutes to go unveil a solar array about an hour from here. So I'll be out there. It is Earth Day. I celebrate, and this is the best way I could possibly think of celebrating, was to announce that we have a $4 million grant to use for innovative market strategy. It's to our innovative market strategies program to implement large-scale clean energy campaign with all of you. And so thank you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart as a resident of this planet, as someone who may someday have grandkids that I want to leave this earth to. Not there yet, but that's just another hint out to my kids in case they're listening. And know that I take such great pleasure in seeing the commitment of all of you toward this essential, necessary goal to undo the damage that has been done to our earth and to protect it. And all of you have found a way to contribute. And also to make sure that underserved communities where they have not had the resources, and believe me, I've been to a lot of churches, and the collection plates were not very full during remote services this past year. So I know a lot of you are hurting financially, but the state needs to be there to step up and help you offset that and continue our common goal to make sure that we are carbon neutral, that we have complete energy efficiency in the next couple of decades in the next opportunity, next couple of years. But lastly, I want to make sure that the green energy jobs that are out there being created, that people in lower income areas, people in underserved communities have a shot at them. So to me, it's all about training for those jobs to give young people a sustainable future as they're helping make our planet more sustainable. So thank you for the opportunity to say hello to everyone. Happy Earth Day, and look forward to seeing you in person at many of these wonderful conversions into the energy of the future.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor, and happy Earth Day to you, and good luck with your solar array this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from Pastor Getulio Cruz, who's going to tell us about what's next.
You're muted.
Yeti, we can't hear you.
Yeti, unmute.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. So, Lieutenant Governor, Metro IAF thanks you for being here and for New York State's support for this ambitious project we're launching today. I'm Reverend Getulio Cruz Jr., a leader in the Metro IAF network and pastor of Montesión Christian Church in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I want to close us out with one thought. on what we're actually going to be doing over the next 2 years. Day to day, it's small work. It's about boilers, electrical panels, calculating the right size for your heat pump condenser units. It's comparing warranties from bidders on our rooftop solar projects. Thousands of details that will never make the headlines, never even be known outside of a very small group. But add it all up. Add up these work days and volunteer hours, sweating the details, and you get something bigger. It's called rebuilding New York. As we dig out from this pandemic and this economic crisis, we know we need to rebuild and put people to work. But doing what? COVID shined a spotlight on essential work and essential workers, the people and work we can't do without, from food delivery to ER nurses. So looking ahead, what's the essential work of this decade? 40 years ago, when Metro IAF began rebuilding Brooklyn, the essential work was building new communities after decades of disinvestment. So we built thousands of new affordable homes and then replicated our approach widely. There's more to do on housing, a lot more, but there's essential work to do in many other areas. Metro IAF and our partners are building a Wi-Fi cooperative, extending affordable internet service to parts of the Bronx and Upper Manhattan that still don't have it. We're tackling the large-scale health catastrophe of mold inside the walls of New York City's public housing, so that thousands of residents can finally breathe again. And now with this initiative, we're transitioning our buildings off fossil fuels. None of this is glamorous work. Unlike building new ones, improving existing buildings doesn't make many magazine covers or viral posts on Instagram, but it is the essential work of our time. The way to rebuild New York in 2021 is by tackling all of this essential work on a big scale. So with the heating and cooling upgrades, let's not stop with congregations and libraries. Let's tackle public housing, all of it, and schools. Let's rebuild New York by converting all of these buildings to clean energy. Let's train and mobilize a new generation of essential workers, all of the trades and professions needed to convert a building from a Hummer to a Tesla. The truth is, New York State has already laid a lot of the groundwork for this kind of rebuilding. New York is a national leader in incentives for clean energy upgrades. It's a national leader in investments in greening our grid, like the wind farms we heard about. And now New York is investing in clean energy demonstration projects. So thank you, NYSERDA, for this opportunity. The next phase is up to us, citizens, institutions, building owners. Let's get on with this essential work. Feliz Dia de la Tierra. Happy Earth Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Getty. That was amazing. All right, so here we're coming to the end of it. We're going to put up a slide with the next steps, and I'll run them down just so people understand what's going on. If you are not already connected to us and you want to be part of this work, please fill out the commitment form. We're going to put a link in the chat right now. This gives us information about your congregation, and it gets us started on the work. Then also note here in this slide, there are 2 workshops coming on to put onto your calendar. Again, make sure you let us know if you're interested, and this way we can make sure you get the links. That's Thursday, May 13th, 11:30 a.m. That's about group solar, and energy retrofits on Tuesday, May 18th at 4. And if anybody has more questions or wants to be more directly in touch with our lead organizer on this project, his name is Joe Morris, and he's going to put his email in the chat also, but it's joemorris03@gmail.com. So let's just go ahead and choke Joe's email with interested congregations and building owners who are ready to go with decarbonization. We want to say thank you to everyone who came today, especially those who made commitments, NYSERDA, LIPA, Bishop Provenzano. It's really inspiring. It really feels like we can make this happen. We're ready to go. And this ends our formal program right now, but we're going to stay on till about 12 o'clock, another 5 or 6 minutes to answer questions. So go ahead and drop them in the chat, and maybe someone can come off mute and answer them, like what counties can participate. Joe's saying anybody can, so this is a statewide program. But if you have any other questions or comments, if not, if you're leaving us now, happy Earth Day, and thanks very much, and congratulations to all of us, because this is going to be better for our state and all of our cities.